Hello there, and thank you for joining me at my tying bench once again. In today's tutorial I'm going to tie up a fly that I come up with. It's a woolly bugger pattern I threw together, and I'm simply going to call it the Adams woolly bugger because I tied it with the theme of the colors of your Adams dry fly and wet fly. It has a gray body, brown and grizzly hackle mixed for the hackle. I got a little bit of grizzly marabou and brown marabou for the tail, and a 1/8 inch black bead for the bead. And I think it's a very cool looking woolly bugger. So if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to hear in the comments if you think it's going to be a fish catcher or not. I haven't fished yet. This is the first time throwing it together, so I thought you might like to see it as well and maybe try to tie him up too and give him a try. So in the comments, just let me know what you think of him, and I'll get this guy the vise then, and I'll get a fresh hook in and get going here. The hook I'm using is a Mustad 9672, and I'm tying it on a size 8 here. So I'll get that locked in the vise, and I already have the bead placed on. And thread this time around I'm using UTC UTC 70 in black. But before I get the thread base started here, I'm going to put a little bit of weight on this guy, and it's 0.15 lead wire. And I'm going to probably put about 10 wraps, 10 to 12 on this guy. Okay, sometimes I don't count, it's just whatever looks good on the shank, that's what I'll go with. Okay, that's usually around 10 to 12 wraps. And I'm just going to snip the end off, squeeze that together, and now before I pull it up, or push that up into the bead, what I like to do is take a little bit of super glue here, just a tiny drop, put in between first, and then I'll take that lead and shove it up into the bead like so. Okay, alrighty, now we'll start our thread. So I'll take the thread and start right behind the lead here, make a few wraps, jump up on top of it and back down. Then we're going to work our thread back, come back towards the barb here, and I'll stop just in front of it there and snip off that excess thread. Okay, now the first part of the tail is I have a small bit of grizzly marabou here, and I'm keeping these amounts fairly sparse. I don't want to overdress this fly. I want it kind of sparse. And this marabou here I just got off of a long grizzly hackle. I just tore it off the bottom part. It's usually the fluff that you tear off when you're tying another fly. It's just works good for these little woolly buggers. So I'm going to tie that in here, and I'm tying that in about the length of the hook shank there. So we got that piece tied in, and I'm going to snip that, and I'll come in with a little bit of brown here, and I'll come right on top of the grizzly, just like so. Same deal, we'll pinch that on the top here. Come around, then I'm going to wrap back on that and hold up on it as I wrap back. That'll keep that on top where I want it. Alrighty, so there's our tail, our brown and grizzly marabou mixed together there. Okay, and I'm just going to snip that off, and I'm going to tie all that down right up to the lead there. Okay, now for the rib, I have some fine gold wire here. I'm going to take a piece of fine gold wire and tie that in here. Go on the far side here and tie this in, and we'll wrap back to in front of our tail. As you can see, I didn't put no flash in the tail on this guy. I didn't want any flash on the tail, so not this time around anyhow. Alrighty, okay. Now, our next step is the body. Just going to put a few more wraps in here first and come back. And I'm just using some Adams gray dubbing, but what I did is I mixed up a little bit of a blend here. I took some Adams gray, and as you see it has a tad bit of flash in. I just used a little bit of gray ice dub fiber, and mix that in with a blender. And I'm going to use that for the body, so put some wax on the thread here. Okay, and we're going to dub a noodle on here. And just keep a nice long uniform noodle here, but medium thickness. Probably going to have to put a couple noodles on to finish it up anyhow, but okay, now we'll begin to wrap this guy. I want that to come back right in front of her tail there. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, begin to wrap that forward. Okay, I'm going to need some more, so a little more wax. And some more of the dubbing mixture. Just like so here. Dub that on. And work that up around the lid towards our bead. Okay, that should do it for us right there. That's fine. Okay. Okay, next step, I'm going to tie in the hackles, and I have a brown and a grizzly hackle here together. I'll place those together. Tie those in at the same time here, right behind the bead. I want the concave sides facing rearward. Tie those stems down nice and tight. Fold them back to lock them in there. Just like so. Then I'll come in and snip those stems out of there. There we go. Okay, the next step is to grab those two hackles together. Grab my hackle pliers here. Grab those two tips and just keep them nice and even and close together here. Okay. Now we'll just begin to wrap our hackle like we normally would for any woolly bugger. It's our first wrap. Okay, and we're just going to wrap back. So, whoops, just like so. Okay. Alright, now I'm going to take the wire, bring it down underneath and up over on my side and up over top. Catch those two hackle tips with two wraps. Just like so. Then I'm going to release my pliers. Now I'm just going to wind that wire through the hackle, wiggle it back and forth as I go. Right up to the beam, we'll tie that off. You might trap down the odd fiber, that doesn't matter, that won't hurt anything. So, alrighty. Now a couple wraps around, and I'll tie off the wire. Two wraps behind. Then I'll fold it back, and we'll spin that off of there. Get a little helicopter. There we go. Okay, that's that. Now I'm going to come in and snip out these hackle tips at the rear here. Just be careful when you're snipping these out. There's one. Get a hold of the grizzly here. Alrighty. There we go. Alright, there we have it. There's another size 8 Adams woolly bugger. I thought it was a very cool pattern, and I think it's going to work. It has those good old colors of the Adams fly in it, so I can't see why it won't be a fish catcher. So the last step is to do a couple whip finishes here. I'm going to do a couple 4-turn whip finishes. There's one. Snug that down there. Come in and give it one more. Alright, there we go. Okay, snug that down nice and tight. We'll snip that off. Okay, well there he is, folks. And one more step, bring in my solar bone dry. And we'll hit those thread wraps there behind the bead, let that soak in all the way around there. Alright, there we have it. Now I'll just cure that up real quick here. Okay. There. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and like I was saying, tie this guy up as well and give it a try. And don't forget to let me know in the comments what you think about it, if you think it's going to be a fish catcher or not. So, until next time everyone, I want to thank you all so much for watching. And if you haven't subscribed yet, and you'd like to, just hit that good old subscribe button and the bell icon, which will let you know when I put up new videos. I'd really appreciate that a lot. And until next time people, happy tying out there, stay safe, and I'll see you all again soon, and so long for now folks.